All right, welcome to Military History Chronicles, everyone. Hopefully everyone had a fantastic Thursday. Enjoying your Thursday evening. Thought I'd come on here. It's an off day for baseball, so I got time to do a little Military History Chronicles, which is nice. Today was a fantastic day, guys. I got to tell you. I had the opportunity. I'm part of the New York Giants Historical Society. Gary Mintz, fantastic guy. He gave me an invite a while back, and today I was able to have a discussion with Hall of Fame broadcaster John Miller. I was able to even ask him a question, which was pretty damn cool. So today was a pretty damn cool day as far as baseball is concerned. But we're going to get into some military history chronicle stuff. Again, going to go back a little bit to the Civil War. Talk about something that President Lincoln did during the course of the Civil War. It's quite interesting. I think some people may know about it, may not. We'll kind of break it down just a little bit. So we'll see where that leads us here. And then if you guys want to get into the current events towards the end of the show, I'm fine with that. If you guys want to ask some questions or something, if you're following me on military history, on Master History 23, if you're following me over there, right there, you kind of get the gist of where I am in talking about foreign affairs, military history, or military history, also just the diplomatic and political stuff that is involved in all of that, because it's not just about shooting. There's a lot more involved. But yeah, we could get into that a little bit. Anyways, let's dive right in. First off, let's talk about this. How many people know what the Fourth Amendment is in the Bill of Rights, right? I'll go ahead and I'll bring it up just so everyone understands what we're talking about here. All right, here we go. Bill of Rights. Again, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. Okay. We're going to go down here to amendment number 4. All right. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause. Supported by oath or affirmation, are particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Okay, in other words, the government just can't come barging down your front door, and just start rummaging through your stuff or even taking you into custody. They just can't do that. All right. And just so you guys know, the Bill of Rights, what is that Bill of Rights all about? It's about what the government can't do to the citizenry of the country. All right. It limits what the government can and cannot do. So there you go. That's the Fourth Amendment. Again, the reason why I bring up the Fourth Amendment, President Lincoln, during the Civil War, actually suspended habeas corpus in a certain situation. Now, it wasn't an overarching where it's the entire country was affected. He used it in specific areas, and one of his generals actually used it against the congressman, an Ohio congressman, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But again, it's during the time of the Civil War. You got to remember, we were in a insurrection, an uprising. It was one of the most tumultuous times in the country, right? A lot of people call it the Second American Revolution, right? A lot of people call it that way, just because of what the Civil War did for the country and the aftermath, I should say. The country was reborn anew, if you want to say, with the aftermath of the Civil War. But getting back to this, remember the opening shots, early April 1861, the Confederates fired on Fort Sumter, and then the war was on. All right. During that period, okay, let's look at this. Okay. Anyways, we're done looking at we'll bring up the Bill of Rights if we have to here in a little bit. But let's take a look at something. Geography. Okay, Washington, D.C. Okay, let's back up a little bit. Washington, D.C. As you can see, it shares a border Well, it's right between Virginia and Maryland. Okay. Again, Virginia wound up being a secessionist state, could join the Confederacy. Maryland was one of 4 border states. Those border states were huge when we're talking about the Civil War. What were the border states here? Let me bring this out. Maryland, Delaware, Kentucky, and over here in Missouri. Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, Delaware. Those were your border states. President Lincoln had to navigate in keeping those specific states within the Union. Again, why were they called border states? Because they were right on the border of between the North and the South. And we needed to keep those specific states within the Union, especially Maryland, since you got Washington, D.C., which is right there. Okay, well, during that period, after the firing of Fort Sumter, which was down here in South Carolina, let's see if I can even find it. It's down here somewhere. I'm not going to even try. Anyways, down here, shots are fired on Fort Sumter. Okay, so there is war, right, between the Confederacy and the Union. So what does Washington need to do? Of course, they need to fortify it. They needed to bring troops in to protect the capital. Because look how close Washington, D.C. is to the Confederacy. It borders it. And then again, you had Maryland, who was teetering. What were they going to do? So President Lincoln called up the militia to bring troops down to Washington to protect it. Well, in that meantime, I think one of the first regiments that were coming down was the 6th Massachusetts. I think there was also, what's up, Los? What's up? Good to see you, man. But so yeah, the 6th Massachusetts, they were trying to come down into Washington, D.C., protect the capital, right? I think regiments from New York were coming, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, you name it. All the northern states were coming down to protect the capital. Problem is, Maryland was there was a lot of Southern sympathies that were going on in Maryland. And when the troops, and maybe some of you guys may remember this, depending on what you've read and what you've may watched concerning the American Civil War, when the troops were coming through Baltimore, the citizenry of Baltimore started rising up. They didn't like Union troops coming through their city of Baltimore, and it led to riots. Almost a dozen civilians died. I think a couple of soldiers died, and it was a mess. The citizens of Baltimore got so pissed off, and including, even in the state of Maryland, got pissed off. They started burning bridges, cutting telegraph wires. Basically Washington was cut off as far as communication wise from the rest of the North. And again, they were susceptible to Confederate attack. If the Confederates wanted to march on Washington, they could have if they wanted to. For the simple fact the troops couldn't get there because of what was going on in Baltimore, because you had to traverse across Baltimore. Otherwise, you had to go the long way around. Maryland did not like it. So it was a pain in the ass. All right. Okay. So this is where we're going to get to the crux of the situation here. Because of this insurrection rebellion by the citizenry of both Baltimore and Maryland, Lincoln's advisors suggested that he suspend habeas corpus again, where the government can basically take people into custody if they feel that they're committing acts that is going to be against the quote unquote union without any warrant. In other words, they knock down your door and say, you're coming with us. We know that you've been up to no good. Okay. And again, this was a huge moment for President Lincoln, because he was concerned, what is this going to, what could this lead to? But because of what was going on with the soldiers, there was nothing else he could do. It was either you risk the Capitol being overrun and the president being taken capture, or unfortunately you had to suspend habeas corpus. And the thing, what he did is, it wasn't that he just throughout the entire Union did he abolish the Fourth Amendment. It was specifically there in Maryland. of where he was instituting this measure where they suspended habeas corpus. And like I said, we're talking about going against the Constitution. The President of the United States taking action against the Constitution. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there are times where a president or even Congress, I think it resides in Congress. I don't know I'm not a constitutional expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I think Congress can do something with that as well. But again, at that time, Supreme Court Justice Taney, he was not a fan of President Lincoln. Matter of fact, he's the one that was instrumental behind the horrible Dred Scott decision. For those of you who know Dred Scott, he was a freed slave, and Dred Scott basically ruled, along with a majority of the Supreme Court, that he didn't have any rights. And of course, I mean, you want to read about it, it was back in the 1850s, and horrible Supreme Court decision. But Dred Scott was part of this, and he didn't like what President Lincoln was doing either. With the suspension of habeas corpus, there's some interesting things written between Taney and President Lincoln. Lincoln did not like Taney. Taney did not like Lincoln, and it made for some interesting theater when during that period of the Civil War. But so he did that, okay, and there was other times where he did that as well. And it's interesting because, like I said, President Lincoln didn't want to do that. There's a great book out there, guys. Oh, here, hold on. Let me find that one. The one spot that I want to look for. For those of you guys have ever, if you're into any kind of Civil War type history, I think I've talked about it here on this show before in the past. It's written by Doris Kearns Goodwin. Some of you may know that. It's called The Team of Rivals. Team of Rivals. And yeah, it's a fantastic book. All right, where the heck is it? Right there. Hold on one second, and I'll find it. I think it was right. Just give me a minute. I see what you're saying there, Lewis. I'll get it here in a minute. I want to see where he talked about it. All right, there it is. Here we go. Okay, we'll get into that in a bit. Wasn't immediately after Lincoln's assassination, Secret Service was formed? Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was formed during. It was during his presidency. Unfortunately, it wasn't as robust as it is, of course, as it is today. But remember, when he got elected as president, he had to sneak in to Washington, D.C. And it was Pinkerton. And that was the man who wound up formulating what is today's Secret Service. But yeah, he was a private security guy, and he helped sneak in the president into Washington, D.C. because there was plots in trying to assassinate Lincoln before he showed up to Washington. Interesting stuff. But anyways, going back to what we're talking about. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Okay, here we go. Again, this is from, is it Aaron lost. Here we go. Okay, again, this is from the book Team of Rivals. Lincoln had not issued a sweeping order, but a directive confined to the single route. Now, what is that single route? Again, it's that route, as you can see, troops had to come through Baltimore by train to get to Washington, D.C. All the regiments that are up here in the north, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine, they all had to come through Baltimore to get to Washington, D.C. And this is where all the insurrection was happening from Baltimoreans. Baltimoreans? Is that what you want to call them? People from Baltimore? Baltimoreites? Hey, people from Baltimore. We'll just keep it there. So that's what he's talking about. So it wasn't a sweeping order. It was for that single route. Still, by rescinding the basic constitutional protection against arbitrary arrest, he aroused the wrath of Chief Justice Taney, who was on the circuit duty in Maryland at the time, ruling in favor of one of the prisoners, which was John Merryman. You guys probably could look that up. John Merryman and his court case in the Supreme Court. Again, Taney blasted Lincoln and maintained that only Congress could suspend the writ. All right, here we go. This is President Lincoln. He was defending. This is interesting what he had to say. Again, this is why this guy was one of the best presidents. Look, was he infallible? No, he made some mistakes as president as well. It's not like he wasn't any kind of god or anything like that, but he was an absolute fantastic president. It says Lincoln later defended his decision in his first meeting to Congress. As chief executive, he was responsible for ensuring that the laws be faithfully executed. Here we go. An insurrection, again, the Confederacy, in nearly 1/3 of the states have subverted the whole of the laws. Are the laws but one to go unexecuted, and the government itself go to pieces, lest that one be violated? His logic was unanswerable, but as Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall argued in another context many years later, the grave threats to liberty often come in times of urgency, when constitutional rights seem too extravagant to endure. Okay. The Navy Secretary, his last name's Wells. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember his first name. It starts with an O. I'll remember it later on. He wrote to his wife, says, government will doubtless be stronger after the conflict is over than it ever has been, and there will be less liberty. So again, some people didn't quite agree with it, but it kind of made sense in as far as what the president was trying to execute here. And there's another example that happened during the Civil War as well, where habeas corpus was denied. It was denied to an Ohio congressman. What was his name? Hold on, let me find it. Clement Vallandigham. Vallandigham, guys. He was an Ohio congressman, and he was spewing a lot of rhetoric, right? A lot of anti-Lincoln type rhetoric. General Burnside didn't like it. So they went and basically stormed his house, arrested him for treason. Not only that, the Chicago Times was trying to report about it, and General Burns shut down the newspaper. So he overstepped his bounds a little bit, and President Lincoln understood that, but he was able to fix it. Again, what was it? Let's see. I don't want to. Let's see. I don't know what exactly he was talking about here. Here, let's see. Okay, this is what he did. Okay, responding to tumultuous peace demonstrations where speakers openly advocated the defeat of the Union's cause, Burnside issued General Orders Number 38, proclaiming that the habit of declaring sympathy for the enemy will not be allowed in this department. What was the department? It was the Department of the Ohio. All persons committing treason, expressed or implied, will be arrested and tried by a military court in deliberate defiance. Vallandigham incited a large crowd to a frenzy with his passionate denunciations of a failed war. His demagogue of defeat railed that the conflict would end only if soldiers deserted en masse, and the people acted to hurl King Lincoln from his throne. Guys. Aaron, what's up, PMG? So there you go. You got a Union general, again, General Burnside, getting a little froggy in trying to prevent freedom of speech. But here we go. So in Italy, he was tried. He was sent to prison. Lincoln didn't care for that too much, but he understood. Listen to this. Learning of these events in the morning paper, Lincoln found himself in a difficult position. While he later admitted that the news of the arrest brought him pain, he felt compelled to uphold Burnside. Nonetheless, he anticipated the damaging political fallout. Criticism came not only from Copperheads and Democrats, but from loyal Republicans. Again, okay, this is what we're talking about here. Again, I'm reading from the book called The Team of Rivals, written by Doris Kearns Goodwin. For those of you guys who want to read a good book on the Civil War history, fantastic book, guys. It's good stuff. All right, here we go. What did Lincoln do? Well, here we go. We're going to talk about the brilliance. I see Los. Man, you know exactly where I'm going. Definitely had a very high IQ. I'm guessing that's what you're trying to say. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about what the great emancipator did to navigate this issue with a general who took it upon himself to go arrest a congressman. It says Lincoln, searching for a compromise, publicly supported Vallandigham's arrest, but commuted the sentence to banishment within Confederate lines. Okay, so instead of putting him behind bars, he is going to send the congressman from Ohio. He's going to send him to the Confederacy, since he's all about the Confederacy and wants to put down the Union. He's going to send him to the Confederacy. There, it was playfully remarked, his copperhead body could go where his heart already was. The New York Times recorded, general satisfaction at the solution, which so happily meets the difficulties of the case, avoiding the possibility of making him a martyr, again, the congressman, and yet effectually destroying his power for evil. Escorted by Union cavalry holding a flag of truce, Vallandigham was removed to Tennessee in an act that further diminished his reputation. He quickly escaped to Canada. Meanwhile, Stanton, who was the Secretary of War, revoked Burnside's suspension to the revoked the suspension of the Chicago Times and informed local officials they were not to suppress the newspapers. Again, General Burnside got a little bit too crazy with his power as a general in that region during the Civil War. Look, you just can't go shut down newspapers and do that. But it was quite interesting. What is it? There was something that I read earlier. It was really good. Oh, here we go. Okay. Lincoln later on, he wanted to explain himself, talking about the issues with habeas corpus, and it's quite interesting. Let's see. Here we go. He finished a letter addressed to a New York Democrat. Oh man, we'll just say Congressman Corning was released to the New York Tribune on June 12th. Conceding that in ordinary times, military arrests would be unconstitutional. Lincoln reminded his critics that the Constitution specifically provided for the suspension of the writ of habeas corpus in the cases of rebellion or invasion. He went on to say that Vallandigham was not arrested for his criticism of the administration, but because he was laboring with some effect to prevent the raising of troops, to encourage desertions from the army, and to leave the rebellion without an adequate military force to suppress it. Pointing out that long experience has shown that armies cannot be maintained unless desertion shall be punished by the severe penalty of death. Lincoln posed a question that was soon echoed by supporters everywhere. Must I shoot a simple-minded soldier? I'm sorry, let me repeat this. Must I shoot a simple-minded soldier boy who deserts, while I must not touch a hair of a wily agitator who induces him to desert? This is nonetheless injurious when the affected by getting a father or a brother or friend into a public meeting, and there working upon his feelings till he is persuaded to write the soldier boy that he is fighting in a bad cause for a wicked administration of a contemptible government, too weak to arrest and punish him if he shall desert. Okay. The president's letter garnered extravagant praise throughout the North. It is full, candid, clear, and conclusive. The New York Times affirmed. Even Democrats were impressed. While Edward Everett told Lincoln he would not have advocated Vallingham's arrest, he considered the president's defense of the step complete. Supporters were thrilled. It was a grand document, strong, plain, simple, without one sparkle of tinsel ornaments. Stoddard enthused, yet dignified as he becomes ruler of the great people when the nation is listening to what he says. All right, there we go. There we go. Again, that gives you kind of a basis of what President Lincoln was having to deal during the period of the Civil War. Again, a time that the country has never experienced before or since, as far as civil unrest, if you want to say it that way. Hey, right on. Just refer to Top Line Pitcher to this channel. Hey, appreciate that. Thanks, Hope. Appreciate it. What's up, Losa? Says Eric. How often is it so that a very good general and a leader simply cannot perform well because he has opposite beliefs? Look, that's something that's tough, man. It's tough, especially when we live in such of a country of the United States, where you do have freedoms to, to say what you want. But once you put on those stars, man, it's a little bit different because you take an oath to follow the Constitution and the president, right? So is there times that it can be difficult? Absolutely. You could do your best in trying to advise, use your chain of command, say, hey, this might not be a good idea. But if the president says you got to do it, you salute and you carry on the mission. Unfortunately, it sucks. I mean, there is such things as unlawful orders, but I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, it can make it difficult. There's no doubt about it. It's not like a dictatorship where you're just you you do as you're told, right? Hey, that's pretty cool. Thanks, Hope. Awesome. I appreciate the support. Much appreciated, man. But yeah, there's let's see. Did I want to bring that one up? Nah, we already talked about that, so we don't need to do that. But again, when we're talking about habeas corpus, this is part of the Constitution. And as the president eloquently explained, when you're in a time of rebellion or insurrection, well, then things get a little bit more hazy when it comes to some people's constitutional rights, right? Now, the last thing that the president wanted to do was to sit there and totally destroy the Constitution. He did not want to do this, but he understood that there had to be a finite type of considerations when he's doing that. In other words, it wasn't a broad proclamation, or I should say a general order, to where everybody's rights are just thrown down the toilet. That's not what happened. He specified it was surgical, if you want to say. Again, to affect the transfer of troops to Washington. It had to be defended. And if it can't be defended because of what was going on, well, you got to figure out a way to put down that rebellion, to put down that insurrection, so that the army could come down to Washington and protect the Capitol. And again, there's another example, of course, when people are inciting the down of the Union and the success of the Confederacy. Well, that just doesn't fly. So quite interesting. So we got to be careful. Look, and just because the president, just because President Lincoln was able to do that, it doesn't give future presidents a precedent, right? Was there a precedent set? Yes, but it doesn't mean at every turn should they resort to the suspension of constitutional amendments or constitutional rights, anything to do with the Bill of Rights. It should never come down to that unless as you say, the shit really hits the fan. Well, if that's the case, well, then we're talking about a different story. But you got to be very careful in doing that, because then look, our republic, our democracy is it's difficult, right? It's hard to keep it, and once you lose it, trying to get it back is it could be very costly, if you will. So you don't want to ever lose that, and that's the thing. And that's another thing with the country, right? It's things don't get done post haste. It just doesn't. Unfortunately, it just takes time. There's people out there that want issues that be fixed immediately, like right now, yesterday, as you say. In some situations, yeah, you can. Some things can be done fairly quickly, but others, it takes time. And that's if that's what you want to call a drawback in democracy, a Republican democracy, well then, yeah, that's just something that you have to deal with. But you want to get it right rather than getting it done quickly, right? You guys get what I'm saying? You could get a lot of quote unquote friendly fire if you jump the gun, so to speak, and when you're doing these type of things. But the beauty of Abraham Lincoln is he just had, again, if you read the Team of Rivals, he had a fantastic group that he built. He's the one that built a lot of all the guys that supported him, or I should say that he nominated to be part of his cabinet. They were all adversaries of him. All four of them wanted to be president. You had William Seward, you had Salmon Chase, Edwin Stanton, and Edward Bates. All of them had aspirations of being president. And the president knew that. Talking about Lincoln, he knew that, but he understood that these guys would give him counsel that he could think about. Did he always follow what they wanted? No. He also made his own ideas and he followed through with it. But yeah, it's pretty amazing on how Lincoln was able to accomplish what he did, and in the time frame. I mean, look at this. He's got a nation that's falling apart at the seams, and he was able to lead this country to put it back together. That's why I love the Civil War history so much. It's an incredible feat of just not the military history side of it, but just the leadership that was exhibited throughout the entire Civil War. There's just something about it. It just resonates with me. But yeah, there we go. Not too bad. Hey, did that in about 36 minutes. Not too bad. Hey guys, if you guys let me know if you guys have any questions, we can. People in the South still call it War of Northern Aggression. Yeah, I know. There's a whole bunch of names they had for the Civil War. What's up, Tom? Things take time. If the historical process are followed today, not so much. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Los. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, sir. It does. Especially now when you're talking about the historical processes, Tom, when you're writing history books, you can, for example, the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, right? You're not going to get a full picture. You're not going to be able to document and write a good historical narrative of that war for another 30 years, guys. Honestly, it's going to take about 30 years after the war is concluded until you can really write a definitive account of the war. Hey, what's up? What's up, Cryptic? Finally, a history. Oh, man. I know what you're talking about. But you already missed the good part. Who knows where it's going to go now? What's up, Cryptic? Appreciate you, dude. We may not agree on some things, but hey, it's all good, man. There's no I don't take any animosity whatsoever. Grand Admiral, 30 years, why not? Yeah, it could be 29, sure. But really, honestly, because you want to be able to access historical documents, primary sources, some of that stuff is at this particular time, of course, is going to be classified. You got to wait that period of time for things to be declassified so that you could get a better understanding of what's going on. That's just the way it is. And again, that can't be written. That can't be written until once the. I mean, I guess you could start on some of it, but you're not going to get a full picture of it. A great discussion would be what makes a good president would be legendary. Yeah, we could probably do that, Los. That might be a good idea. Take examples of what to do and what not to do. That might get a little weird. It might get a little weird in this hypersensitive atmosphere that we're in today. But yeah, that could get a little weird. But no, I get what you're saying. That could be a fantastic topic to talk about. No doubt about it. If anyone has any questions, Civil War related, or particularly on why Lincoln did away, specifically in the time frame of 1861 of suspending the writ of habeas corpus there in Baltimore, Maryland. I think you get in. Don't be Kenyan. I think a president should have a military background, says Aaron. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Some didn't. Some do. Some, I should say, some did, some didn't. But it could help. It could help. Look, guys, just because look, I'm not saying anything that's out of the ordinary. Just because you serve doesn't mean you are the sharpest tool in the shed. Just saying. That happens. Someone could go out there and serve, they serve proudly. They come out with a honorable discharge and all that stuff, but they may have not been the most apt leader, if you will. The same. President Coolidge. I don't know much about Coolidge, Grand Admiral, but yeah, I'll do that. Why not? Yeah, sure, why not? I don't agree with that, but it should not be a career politician. Yeah, there's something to that. There's something to that. I would like to have someone who has an understanding of I don't know. Someone who can be a critical thinker, who can sit there and listen to different voices in the room, gather all the information, and then make a decision. Because ultimately, the decision making is at the president, right? So I would like to see a guy who understands that you got to have different varying points of view. Some may agree, some may disagree. I'm talking about the advisors, but you gotta hear to have the best course of action. Again, some things you have to act on immediately, and some things you can go, okay, well, we got some time to deliberate this. Again, that's you just got to have that instinct, that ability to be able to do that. And there you go, Cole. You're kind of exactly. And if you don't have that military, then it's good to have an advisor who absolutely understands it. Then yes, there's nothing wrong with that. Because then that person could tell the president, well, Mr. President, in this situation, with the experience that I've had, yada, 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 right? And then you could get different points of view. That's why you have a Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's why you have all that stuff. Hey, Space Cowboy, look at that. Trump in 2028, huh? Yeah, it's going to be tough, buddy. It's going to be tough. There's a thing, called the Constitution. Oh, man. What is up, Senior? How's it going, man? Senior, I don't want to hear about the A's. I don't want to hear about the A's. MAGA forever. Look at Space Cowboy. Oh, my goodness. Man. Oh, my gosh. Aaron, yeah, that's not a good idea. You don't want to have. Well, two terms is all you can do. There's an amendment. There's an amendment. Tom. Oh my gosh. Hey, everyone's entitled to their opinion, man. May not agree with it, but hey, whatever floats your boat. No, he's not Space Cowboy, but that's okay. No, he's not. But yeah, what else you guys want to talk about? There's a lot of things going on out there, guys. A lot of things as far as foreign relations and all that stuff. Since our last time, we have a new Pope, right? Pope Leo the 14th, an American. How about that? And actually, I think we did talk a little bit about that in the last one, right? I think it was right around that same time. But now he has been enthroned. So now he is the leader of the Catholic Church. Yeah, and he's a baseball fan. How can you go wrong with a Pope who's a baseball fan? Come on. Can it get any better than that? Can it get any better than that? He's a baseball fan. Cryptic, I hear what you're saying. Oh, here we go with Ace. Ace back and forth. Here we go. Civil War time, I guess, huh? Yeah, the White Sox do need some divine intervention. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. North Korea, did you guys see that? Launched a new ship and it sunk immediately going into the water. That's kind of cool. Oh my gosh. Peace between Ukraine and Russia is not happening anytime soon. It isn't. It's not happening. Just isn't. It's just not in the cards. It's not in the cards. It's again, I've talked about this ad nauseum. The peace process is they take a long time. And if the conditions on the ground doesn't merit either side, well, then guess what? It's not going to happen. Yeah, he's a White Sox fan. Exactly. Yep. Absolutely. As they said, yeah, you need some divine intervention. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, Putin wants to keep fighting this war, but he's not going to win it. Look what's going on with the Russian army, man. They cannot take land. It is costing them thousands of lives by just moving like a quarter of a mile, not even a quarter of a mile. And they're losing thousands of men. The Ukrainians are putting up such a stout defense. I mean, we're watching. I've talked about this, guys, even before it's kind of in the mainstream now. But the use of drone warfare is absolutely incredible. The Ukrainian army, holy shit. I mean, their defense capability, manufacturing is out of this world. And it's all based on drone technology. They got drones on the water, drones in the air, drones on the ground. I mean, they are making the Russians pay a terrible price for taking any type of land. It's incredible. But yeah, it's going to be interesting in how this is all going to pan out. Is Europe going to step up? Who knows what the United States is going to do? I'm frustrated with that. I've already let it be known. If you're following me on Twitter, I think we're taking the wrong course. That's just me. If you think differently, hey, so be it. But I'm not understanding the direction of the United States as far as foreign relations. We're totally removing all leverage that we could have against Russia. It's very odd. I don't quite understand what's going on. But again, like I said, you following me on Twitter, and you guys will have a better understanding of where I'm coming from that. Oh yeah, SpaceX is going to get ready to launch another Super Heavy in March. What is it, May 27th? Oh, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on that, man. That is just dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. You don't do that. You don't accept those type of gifts. You just don't. You don't. Oh my gosh, man, dude. But I think you're just being sarcastic. But yeah, what a mess. Asset in the White House, Tom? Seems weird. I'll just seems I don't understand. I think everybody understands the roadblock to peace is Putin. Putin's the one that started this whole thing, and he's going to be the one that has to end it. He's the one that decided to invade Ukraine, and it's simple as that. It's that simple. And until people have a better understanding on what's going on, then that's fair. That's fair, Cryptic. I get you. What else is? Yeah, there's pretty much. I don't think there's going to be any type of talks anytime soon that I know of. They just keep fighting. But he did get a big, beautiful plan. Yeah, he sure did. How about that? Oh man, dude. How's that big, beautiful bill going to do? You think it's going to get through you think it's going to get through? I don't know. I think there's some opposition by some Republicans. We'll have to see. Oh, absolutely, Tom. That is a fact. If any other, whether it was Clinton, Biden, Obama, yes, there would be calls saying that there's some kind of shadiness going on. And look, come on. There's already recordings out there from President Trump back in 2016 and 2017 of where he was absolutely eviscerating people accepting money from Qatar. But yet in a short amount of time, he's doing that exact same thing. So yeah, come on. It's bad. That whatever. I'll leave it at that. Yes, the Russian economy is propped up by the war and their shadow fleet. Their shadow fleet of tankers is also helping them prop up their economy as well. Obama was an arrogant. Hold on. Are you telling me that Trump isn't arrogant? Come on, come on. Ooh, right? Come on. Let me see. Oh, Grand Admiral, what's he saying here? Domino effect here. Putin evades the English Premier League, forced Roman and his Russian oil money to sell Chelsea Football Club to the Dodgers owners, and then Ohtani happened. Look at you. You found out a way to blame Putin for the Dodgers signing Ohtani. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. Oh my gosh. It's weird out there, guys. There's no doubt about it. We definitely are living in some interesting times. Maybe Trump get the point. Hey, you never know. He told the commissioner to reinstate Shoeless Joe, the Black Sox, and also Pete Rose. So yeah, why not? Deport Ohtani. Unless he's got a plane to sell him. I'm sure there's a price. Anyways, anyone else have anything? Be willing to. Hey, I could maybe go another 30 minutes tops. Other than that, then I'll just shut it down. But anyways, for those of you who weren't here, guys, as I'm gonna transition into baseball a little bit. I had the opportunity to listen to John Miller. Again, I talked about it earlier. I'm part of the New York Giants Historical Society. Gary Mintz does a fantastic job. And yeah, I got to be in a panel today where John Miller talked to about 50 of us. And yeah, I got to ask him a question. I got a chance to talk with the Hall of Famer, John Miller, man. That was freaking absolutely incredible. I really enjoyed that. Today was a fun day as far as baseball is concerned. Really cool stuff. If you guys want to check it out, all you guys got to do is in YouTube, type in, you know what? You want me to play it? You guys want it here? Hold on. Let me find it. the week before last, Chris Spire was on the show. No, John Shea. John Shea was on the show. I didn't get the chance to ask him a question, but John Shea was fantastic. And by the way, guys, I'll just play the clip of what I did. You guys go check it out. It's really freaking cool. John Miller talks about, he gives his take on Pete Rose, which was pretty damn cool. All right, here, let me try to find this real quick. Give me a minute. All right, here we go, guys. This is going to be cool. Let me share the screen here. I don't think Gary will mind. Here we go. All right, here we go.
Stage there at the Castro Theater, very added on a little bit to that. So anyway, so that was one of the.
By the way, I'm like the youngest guy in this entire group. Matter of fact, when we first got in there, we kind of just shoot the shit for a little bit for the first 15 minutes. And the guys are like, hey, it's nice to have a young guy in here. So it was pretty cool. All right, here we go.
Yeah. The moments, the only time Willie ever really had that kind of a collision and really got hurt. And even then, it didn't put him on the disabled list. He didn't miss any appreciable time.
To catch the games.
Moments, the only time Willie ever the appreciable time as a result of it.
There we go.
Thanks, John. Eric from Giant Sports Talk Live, you're up.
Hey, Gary, thanks for letting me get this question in. John, it's a pleasure to be able to talk to you. I know you always pass it off to Dave talking about painting word pictures. Well, my friend, you are the master artist, and I appreciate everything that you do for us Giants fans who were able to catch the games both on TV and on the radio. So much appreciated.
Thank you.
You bet. The question I had, you're talking about the great affection that Barry had for Willie. Well, Willie was able to be able to reciprocate that affection back in 2018. And look, I was born in 1973, so I didn't get a chance to see Willie Mays play. So this is an example of what I saw in Willie Mays after he was done playing. But he really didn't come out and make a lot of proclamations. But in 2018, during Barry Bonds' number retirement, and I don't know if it was unscripted or if it was scripted, but he came up to the microphone and he gave a passionate speech about trying to get Barry Bonds elected into the Hall of Fame. What was that scripted, or is he right off the cuff from Willie Mays?
It was. It might not have been off the cuff from Willie's point of view. He might have intended it, or I think as a public speaker, Willie was at his best off the cuff, spur of the moment, because I think that it came to him at some point during the festivities, because he was not on the program, and there was not a spot, there was not time listed in the program for Willie to speak. But he, at some point, he started saying, I need a microphone. And his assistant, Renee, she helped guide him to the podium. And then he told that story and talked about how, and I well remember it, about how one of the great thrills of his career was going into the Hall of Fame and being able to experience all of that with all of the greats of the game, and the ceremonies themselves, and the dinner afterward with all the other all-time greats, and going back there to Cooperstown in the years after that. And the way he put it is, and I'm paraphrasing, is put somebody in the Hall of Fame that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm imploring all the voters. Barry has had one of the great careers in the history of the game. Put someone who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame in the Hall, and please, and put Barry Bonds in there, because he really deserves to be there. And I'm asking for that favor from everybody, and everybody who has the vote. So, I thought it was such a sweet moment, and his affection for Barry, but also truly speaking from the heart. And, when he said he wanted to speak, I mean, he's Willie Mays. It's like nobody down there was going to say, oh, no, tell Willie he was sorry, but no way, can't happen. So if Willie wants to speak, he's going to speak, and get him a mic, get him over there. So that was it. But and I think that I remember when Barry was closing in, McGuire had hit 70, and now it was what, a couple of years later or whatever it was, 3 years later. And then Barry's closing in on that same number. And we're in Houston. And it was like the Astros, the whole team was like, we're not ever going to throw Willie a strike. And they kept walking Barry over and over again. And the Giants kept beating the Astros' brains out. And so Willie was there so that if he hit number 70, the Willie would be there, and he could go out and congratulate him and whatnot. Or if he even passed McGuire, even better yet. But he saw how frustrated Barry was in the final game, and he went down into the clubhouse after the latest. And they might not even have walked him. One guy came in and drilled him and got immediately ejected. I think his name is Russ Springer. And I don't know, he had something against Willie or against Barry, and he drilled him, and the umpire immediately ejected him. And But Willie found Barry in the clubhouse, and the way the story is told, that he said, "I know you're frustrated. We're all frustrated, but we've won every game of this series, and we're in a pennant race. And the guy behind you has knocked in 8 or 9 runs in this series, and we're destroying these guys every game. So be ready, and if suddenly you get a pitch to hit, you'll hit it, but." Otherwise, keep taking your walks if they're fine with that, and let's just keep beating their brains out and go keep winning in this pennant race, because we need all these games. So he gave Barry a little pep talk, and he might have been the only guy on the planet that could give Barry Bonds that kind of a pep talk. And so now after that, the Giants are ahead, I don't know, 12-0 or some lopsided score, and the Astros bring in this young left-hander who, is a guy who throws 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and doesn't have a clue. He's 20 years old, and he's up from A ball or double A. It's almost like they brought him up just to have him pitch to Barry, just in case, because he might drill Barry, and what is anybody going to say about it? He had no idea and he threw 2 or 3 pitches to the backstop just warming up. And so the first pitch to Barry was way high and outside. It might have gone over everything to the backstop. And then he threw another one out there, and it was like, well, here we go. This guy, he can't throw a strike to Barry. It's like, hopefully he won't beat him or something. And then all of a sudden, and he's a left-hander, all of a sudden, he throws him one right down the middle at 100 miles an hour or whatever it was. And Barry, who hasn't even had a pitch to swing at for 4 days, crushes it, and it was the longest home run that I'd ever seen at Minute Maid Park, over the right center field bullpen and into the second deck. It was just a breathtaking home run, and that's kind of, for me, I like to put that result together with Willie's little pep talk for Barry an inning or so before down in the clubhouse.
Thanks, Eric. Mars, you're up.
Oh, Mars, by the way, that's a guy with the big stogie. All right, hold on. Let me find this. Awesome, dude. I'm telling you guys, that was so damn cool. Here, guys, make sure if you guys like this kind of content, go check this guy out. Gary Mintz puts it together. New York Giants Preservation Society. It's freaking awesome. We do the live Zoom. And then once the Zoom is over, he'll post it to YouTube. So it's fantastic, guys. Good stuff. You guys are big Giants fans? Tom, 100%, dude. I mean, we started at just after 4, and it went, over 2 hours. It went over 2 hours because he'll do his. They kind of do the presentation in the beginning, and then people get to ask questions. Oh man, it was awesome. Good stuff, man. So much fun, dude. It was great. Really enjoyed that. Had some technical issues in the beginning. If you guys watch from the beginning, he was having issues trying to get his camera to work on his iPhone. But we got the audio, and that's all that mattered, to be honest with you. But again, I appreciate Gary Mintz giving me that opportunity. And look, guys, real quick, when I started doing this whole YouTube stuff, baseball here, Military History Chronicles, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd be sitting here, being able to be associated with some of these people that I've been associated with. It's been awesome. It's awesome, and it's not work for me. It's just having fun. If I could help people out in whatever way I can, whether here on YouTube or just being able to talk or whatever, man, dude, I love it. It's fun. I love it, man. For those of you who talk to me on the phone, there's a few out there that we talk often. You guys hear it. I mean, the way I'm talking here is no different than the way I talk in real life. I just enjoy it. Hopefully my enthusiasm continues to be exhibited in all these things that I do. It's fun. I enjoy it, man. Good stuff. Yes, cryptic, 100%. You could talk and never get boring. Yep, 100%. I mean, again, the guy who asked the question after me, Mars, the guy at the Stogie, he asked a question about Pete Rose, and he gave a great answer. Great answer. But and the reason why we had, because last week was John Shea. Before that was Chris Spire. It was like May is the month of Mays, because Willie Mays was born in May. So that whole during the weekly Zoom calls, it all had to do with Willie Mays. So it's awesome. Good stuff. Okay. What do we got? Anything else? Anyways, yeah, just thought I'd pass out. That's kind of cool, since we're just kind of shooting the shit, so to speak, right now. It's awesome. Good stuff. I don't think because John Miller was at home, so I don't think he's not going to be on this. He's not going to be on this road trip, I believe, back east. Vin Scully was awesome. Yeah, there you go. Scully's the only Dodger I ever like. Ain't that the truth? All right. And yeah, Vin Scully was a Giants fan. He was. Dude, he was just awesome. Awesome. Tom, miss Vin big time. Used to watch Dodger games just to hear him tell tales. I know. The Giants fans gave him a great farewell, too. Remember the last time he came to Oracle Park? That was really cool. That was really cool. Paying homage to the best in the business, right? All right, let's see what else we got here. I think we're done, huh? I think we're done. Yeah, I think we're done. Where's the big man? He never came back. Who's that? Where's the big man? Farmer John. Where's the big man? He never came back. What are you talking about there, Cryptic? You bet, Tom. It's always fun to have you in. PMG, you still out there, man? Is PMG still out there? I saw him. He said he was there. I don't know if he's still around. Just waiting to see. What's up, Jim? How you been, man? Hopefully all is well with you down in good old Clovis, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Man, there's a few guys I haven't seen in a long time. I saw him a lot. What happened to Alex? Alex used to be out there. Benji. I know Benji's a busy guy. There's a few guys out there. Oh, he's doing well. He's still recovering. He's doing a lot of physical therapy with his leg. He had a busted up ankle, and he's taking care of that to try to get his mobility back. So yeah, he's doing well. Working a lot, lost weight? Nah, still about the same. Was busy today out in the yard. Dilly, yeah, Dilly has been kind of cool. Dilly, where the heck's Dilly? Even in Giant Sports Talk Live, he's kind of went communication blackout. I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, we started doing the fantasy baseball, and he went like, "I'm not talking to any of you." He's been getting. Oh yeah, he's Vince is awesome, man. Yeah, I talk to him often, or I should say text. He's awesome, man. Yeah, I know a lot of stuff going on with the displeasure of WWE. I get it. I understand. Do you think we'll ever see arrests in military tribunals for commie globalists in the illegal and illegitimate Biden regime? No. No. They were blaming him for that was dumb, Jim. That was dumb. No. That's crazy talk, Space Cowboy. Come on, man. It's crazy talk. What are you talking about? Tell you what, follow me on Twitter, Space Cowboy. You'll see where I stand on some of the stuff. All right, guys, I think I'm done. It was fun. Did an hour and 10. Maybe I'll do it again in another 2 weeks, something like that. We'll see what happens. Again, we'll see what I don't know what next topic I'll be. I'm glad I got back to the Civil War. I love talking. You guys know how I like talking about Civil War stuff. That stuff is awesome. Anyways, you guys enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. I will be back tomorrow night to talk Giants baseball. First game against the Washington Nationals. Let's see what the decision is going to be. I didn't get a chance to go on. Yesterday was a pain in the ass. I couldn't go live yesterday, but I will be back at it tomorrow. Glenn will probably not be with us. He had to go to Nova Scotia. He's dealing with some stuff with his father, and it's tough. So he's probably going to be out of pocket. I don't know. When I hear from him, I'll let you guys know. But if you see me over the next couple of days solo, that is the reason why. Again, I'll make that announcement on the Giant Sports Talk Live tomorrow as well. But so yeah. Again, guys, back to baseball tomorrow. Let's see what the Giants are going to do with that vacant rotation spot. Who is it going to be? Harrison, Wisenhunt, somebody else? We'll find out, guys. Anyways, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Again, probably around 8 o'clock because I think, should be right around 8 o'clock, somewhere around there. Again, thanks for hanging out, guys. Again, it was fun talking about this specific time in history. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you tomorrow. See ya.